So how this distortion of information first, how this affect us as negative on everything that we are doing, because we are now already recognized on the fourth dimension, but practically this fight on the street and everything give us the opportunity to go on the fifth dimension, or it is just the contrary? How this affect our ascension?
What's occurring? There's a full mess out there, and I refer to that as the lower timeline, with all protesting, nationalists, patriotism. All of that is part of the lower timeline and the lower consciousness. And it serves multiple reasons. But one thing, what it does serve, and by the way, before I go to that, this is that lower timeline of nationalism, immigration, and all of that. This is the higher timeline we reside on. This lower timeline does not affect this upper timeline, but this lower timeline does affect the advancement of the upper timeline into ascension. But as Todd said, we don't engage in this. We need to keep in the love, the peace. We need to keep above it. And as our divine brothers and sisters trickle out of it, we put our hand and give them a lift up and get them up here situated and ready. But this is a game that is playing out, that the best way for us to control the game is not try to control anything on that lower timeline, just maintain and solidify this higher timeline with GPMS. And with the divine trust, we know they're coming. We wouldn't have got here if this wasn't true where we're at. So this is the trust. And every day we see more coming. So we need to leave, if you will, certain things play out on its own without us affecting that. We can test the waters and plant some seeds and, to see, but if there's rejection, don't expend our energy on it. So with this, with the process, especially in Canada, as we kept saying, with what they're trying to do with the convoys, but also in Europe, it's the same thing. What they're doing is looking for something better within the system, trying to control the system, while actually inside of the system, there is no provisions to give them the full freedom and abundance, but their level of consciousness doesn't know it yet. If their level of consciousness did know what we were doing, ideally, we would have already had GPMS implemented. Because when you look at, let's take the World Freedom Alliance, when COVID began back in, I think, 2020, they had about 1 billion at one time was looking at their website. This is a huge number. And ideally, that billion should have been with GPMS by now, but we don't see them yet. So they're at this level in that process of realization that once they exhaust all of their things that they think will work, then they surrender and then they're able to see GPMS. So it does affect it. With the prolongment of it, yes, Beatrice, but the only thing that we can do is maintain this new world and keep building it, because when our focus is on this, the bigger it gets, GPMS, it's an energetic vehicle, but where it's truth and based on purity and divinity, it has a huge impact on this lower timeline, because this lower timeline cannot compete with what is positive, what is truth. It repels it, but it also compresses it. So this is part of the construction of the new world involves the instruction of the old, which happens more or less organically. So we keep doing our best, and whoever's, that's why the focus is to get those that can see GPMS. Don't waste time on those that cannot. We test the water with leaders sometimes, and they're not competent, they're not higher consciousness, and yet they cannot see the simple solution. But eventually, if they're genuine and divine, they will see it. So we keep going forward with what we got, and we keep growing it prudently, responsibly, solidifying it with peace, love, and harmony. And we don't go to the streets with the protesters. We don't fight against a false authority like governments, because that would disempower in ourselves, and it would defy what we are and what we represent. And as Todd said, we are the peers for the new world. And in this new world, there's no one fighting against a government, no one else thinking that someone is an authority above them. We are all ourselves authority combined together as a worldwide universal community with this. So